interesting story, and we want to try to bring up interesting things people aren't talking about. Where you're finding, if you guys remember the Palisades fire that went on in California, what a devastating thing that was. And I was always really mad during that time because everyone's always like, they deserved it. It's LA. And it's like, meanwhile, Palisades is like more white than any city in Texas. You know, it's like beautiful, pristine, fantastic. And people are like, I thought LA was horrible. It's like, well, you saw the creator go to Skid Row, and Skid Row is horrible, but most of LA, especially West LA, is absolutely beautiful. Corrupt, but man, LA is a nice place. You saw when we switched into Beverly Hills from Hollywood or West Hollywood, like you go across the street and then it was beautiful, right?
Oh, it's night and day. And yeah, when we were there, you could see as soon as you entered into Beverly Hills, I mean, the change was crazy. It was really sad to see how LA is now too, because you could see the architecture was actually beautiful back in the day. You could see the vision that they had for LA, but it's gone downhill completely. And with this new bill that they're trying to pass, SB 549, basically in the Palisades, what they want to go ahead and do is they're putting a certain group of people to watch over the rebuilding of it, people that aren't really elected. They weren't chosen by, people that live in California. And they want to take 40% of the rebuild and actually hand it over to low-income housing. So,
which means that you will experience multiculturalism on levels you've never expected. You wanted landscaping, not landscapers. Do you know what I mean? Like it's...
Okay.
It's true. It's true. Listen to this. Here's them talking about this. So they're taking this pristine area and they're turning it into a socialist commune. Listen.
Hey, Pacific Palisades. I wanted to take a minute and do a quick check-in about some legislative efforts by the county and state that could directly impact recovery and rebuilding. A couple of weeks ago, LA County's Blue Ribbon Commission released a set of recommendations, some of which are really good ideas and could help us in the long term. But one of the commission proposals, which has now been taken up as Senate Bill 549, to create a resilient rebuilding authority, raises a lot of concerns I want you to be aware of. What they're proposing is a separate government entity to be comprised of political appointees, not people elected by you, who would have centralized authority over construction permitting, development, land acquisition, and other key decisions that will shape the future of the Palisades. Why am I concerned? For one thing, SB 549 was based on only one formal meeting by the commission with a handful of residents. And that's just not how we roll in CD11. We make decisions as a community based on extensive engagement when we have all of the information in front of us. I'm also concerned because the proposal would eliminate city involvement, mine and yours, by shifting critical decisions around land use, zoning, permitting, and design standards to the new agency. I don't want to be sidelined from the conversations and decisions, and I don't want you to be steamrolled by people you didn't elect to represent your interests. I'm open to the possibility of creating a regional authority who can help us finance and deliver big infrastructure projects, secure materials and labor, and protect the Palisades from land speculators and developers. If you care about what happens next, I urge you to take the time to review the commission report and SB 549 and provide thoughtful feedback to my office, Supervisor Horvath, and Senator Allen. The state has only until July 7th to make amendments to SB 549. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you over the 4th of July.
All right.
Yeah, so that kind of just sums up California for you right now.
Yeah, it sums up a woman, a lesbian, telling you that, they're going to put 40% of the people that, low income housing. Let me just reiterate this. I have a family member, that's all I'll say, who's a big lib, and they happen to live in the widest area of a large city. You know what I mean? A very diverse city. It's all white people. Beautiful home, by the way. Extremely wealthy. I don't blame them. And I was like, they were talking about how I'm racist, and stuff. It's a bad thing, And then they explained to me, they're like, hey, by the way, it's a joke. It's a joke. I would never be racist. But they go, you know what? I'm sorry. I apologize for coming across racist to you. I don't want to come across racist. This is very, very rude. I'd like to become an activist for multiculturalism, and I'd like to get a low income housing development, multi-story, 40, 60 room. Just, there was a plot of land down the street. Said right there, I'm going to start raising money to get a low income housing, unit to start raising awareness to bring in for immigrants, for just newfound immigrants. I've never heard someone become a Republican so quickly. It's like, no, there are areas for that. They have those. The government has those, and it would lower the home value here. And obviously, we have little children. I was like, yeah, so your street needs to say. Oh, so it'd make it dangerous, huh? So you're worried about what? Your crime and financial problems. And I just found out today, New York in the last year spent, or maybe it's not last year, maybe it's the last 2 years, but they spent $6.9 billion on illegal immigration, the one city.
That's crazy.
Anyway, that's all I was going to say. It's just so funny with this stuff.
So Sacramento will force cities to basically accept this low-income housing in the nicest areas, and the people aren't really allowed to vote on it in the cities, aren't really allowed. There's been some different court cases, and the cities aren't even really allowed to say no to the state when it comes to just forcing them to build low-income housing, and then they'll just ship homeless people from LA. So you can live in a nice town, and then they're just going to build a giant apartment building there and ship a bunch of homeless people right next door. And they're doing this to all the nicest areas, like in Newport Beach, Huntington Beach. There's been a lot of problems there, all over Orange County, and I'm sure all over the state as well. So it's really annoying. And that's why local politics matters too, because people like to think that it doesn't. But what happens on the city level, if you can try to stop that, is so important, because they're basically causing the decline of the entire country by spreading basically the worst parts of the society everywhere and just ruining every neighborhood. I hate it.
Yeah,
that's what affects people the most, really. That's probably going to affect you more than the Epstein files, to be honest.
The whole thing in the Palisades was a shit show, though. A few people here I see in the chat are mentioning how the fire hydrants were completely empty. It was because the reservoir got emptied out at the time. I guess Gavin Newsom wanted to help save some fish, so they made a bunch of changes. And then also DEI hires were put in charge of, being firefighters. So they didn't even have the equipment that was needed at the time to help put out the fire. And one of the biggest questions that happened at that time, a lot of people were like, okay, are they going to turn this into a land grab? It's the same thing they worry about in Hawaii. It's the same thing we worry about in North Carolina. And as we can see here now, what they're doing is they're trying to change the demographic and bring it more towards of a welfare state, which is easier to control.